Here's a book talk about the classroom instruction that works, research-based strategies for increasing student achievement by Robert J. Marzano, Deborah J. Pickering, and Jane E. Pollock. Here are 9 teaching strategies that have positive effects on student learning. Number 1, identifying similarities and differences. This enhances students' understanding of and the ability to use knowledge through explicit guidance, independently, visually, whether that is graphically or symbolically. It can also be done through comparing, classifying, creating metaphors or analogies by the use of a Venn diagram. Number 2, summarizing and note-taking. When reading a passage, one can delete, substitute, and keep their ideas. They could also analyze the information, they could become aware of the structure, they could select or create a topic sentence of their choice. An example of a summarizing technique is called the topic restriction illustration frame. Number 3, reinforcing effort and providing recognition. An example is an effort and achievement rubric and chart. Number 4, homework and practice. It is very important to establish a homework policy. The amount of homework should vary as students get older. The parent involvement should be minimal. The purpose of homework should be identified and known to both the teacher, student, and parents. And if homework is assigned, it should be commented on and addressed. Number 5, non-linguistic representation. That can be in form of a graphic representation, making physical models, drawing pictures, kinesthetic activities, which an example could be a cause and effect pattern organizer, a generalization principle pattern organizer, or a time sequence pattern. Number 6, cooperative learning. There are 5 defining elements. Number 1, positive interdependence. 2, face-to-face interaction. 3, individual and group accountability. 4, interpersonal and small group skills. And 5, group processing. Number 7, setting objectives and providing feedback. Goals should be specific yet flexible. Feedback should be timely and given immediately. And feedback can be provided from both teachers and students. Number 8, generating and testing hypothesis. It is essential to use a variety of structured tests to guide students. The purpose must be defined, parts must be described, constraints identified, different solutions, and the solution should be tried and the results explained. Number 9, questions, cues, and advanced organizers. Focus on what is important, not what is unusual. The use of appropriate wait time is necessary when using explicit cues, questions that elicit inferences, and analytical questions. Teachers can apply the strategies during unit planning. There are 3 phases. At the beginning of a unit, you can include strategies for the anticipated learning goals. During the unit, implement strategies to monitor progress, introduce a new knowledge, for practicing, reviewing, and applying knowledge, and at the end of the unit, to include strategies for helping students determine how well they achieve their personal goals. Before a unit, a teacher can create the learning goals by utilizing the district's curriculum, examples of the textbook, and the interest of his or her students. To take the goals one step further, one can integrate interdisciplinary connections to make relative connections to enhance a student's learning. The teacher can make copies of the learning goals for each student using I statements to have the goals more personal. Each student will identify personal learning goals that interest him or her. An example of a personal learning goal is, I will try to understand what a hurricane is and why it creates tremendous damage based on locations. Once the goals are written, the students can pair up with one of their peers to share and brainstorm ways to achieve that goal. During a unit, in order to monitor learning goals, students should receive feedback and assistance to self-assess their progress by the use of rubrics with consistent criteria, and students can personalize the rubrics to make individualized notes and suggestions. Students should become owners of their learning and keep track of their achievements and how they can improve. Introducing new knowledge. Activate prior knowledge about the particular topic. How can the topic be presented in multiple modalities? Compare new knowledge with previous knowledge and discuss the similarities and/or differences with their peers. Students should have a notebook or a note system in place in order to keep their notes. Students should present the content in non-linguistic ways for a different representation of the content. Both individual and cooperating learning opportunities should be presented with different options for the process and the product. At the end of the unit, immediate feedback, both in writing and orally, is essential to help the students determine how they have achieved their goals. In conclusion, adequate modeling and practice, feedback, allowance for differences in implementation, and celebration are important aspects for a student's success.